Jennifer is first priority, first and foremost, always. So I'm optimistic that hopefully she'll be found.
We're now getting a closer look at some of the last moments before a Texas teacher assistant vanished last month. The newly released surveillance video was recorded after ominous text messages were sent threatening that the woman would never be seen again.
What's the reason for the threats and messages, and where did they come from also?
Detective Troy Looney says investigators are still hard at work in the weeks after Jennifer Mendez Olascoaga disappeared. The 24-year-old was last seen on September 27th in Seagoville, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Investigators say she was caught on gas station surveillance video after she dropped off a friend at a mobile home park. Mendez Olascoaga hasn't been seen or heard from since.
The original video or missing date was September 27th, as we know, but detectives would start with a timeline to identify the location, video surveillance, witnesses, any and all possible suspects potentially that were there. Also, this friend that was mentioned, there's no name, of course, I'm sure, to protect the identity or for whatever reason, but this friend that was dropped off. So that all adds into places and leads to start the investigation, like the interview with that party, family and friends, and just to build a timeline for Jennifer's whereabouts before, during, and after the disappearance. So a lot of things to consider and follow up on.
Detective Looney says a timeline leading up to Mendez Olascoaga's disappearance is crucial in this case. And weeks after her disappearance, time is of the essence.
The time factor definitely plays a role, and time is always of the essence because depending upon the reason and factors involved, is this some kind of kidnapping or sex trafficking? Hopefully not. But if that is the case, obviously, the sooner we can locate Jennifer, the better. Sooner we can get details and maybe some of the forensic data back to track and trace whereabouts and identify parties involved. It just helps in providing safety for her first and foremost, and identifying what took place. All the questions of when, how, where, why, and what was going on. So, of course, her safety first. Finding her alive is monumental. I mean, that's a huge part of everything, obviously. So time is always of the essence in every case, but especially missing persons.
What we know right now is that Mendez Olascoaga dropped off a friend at the Creekside Mobile Home Park on Wednesday, September 27th. After that, she stopped at a Quik Trip gas station at about 8:30 p.m. The security video of that stop was released just this week. Looney says the recording could hold vital information in the missing persons search.
Well, we see Jennifer inside the store shopping, traveling back and forth to the gas pumps and putting gas in the car. There are also several other potential persons of interest and or witnesses that were present. There's a gentleman inside the store in a blue shirt. He walks out to a vehicle, I believe it's a white vehicle. Several other vehicles pulled in and out of the location. There was a pickup truck as well. Not just kind of hard to determine the color based upon the surveillance video because it differentiates with the shade or time of day and nighttime. I believe this was the evening hours. So it's hard to tell the exact color of a vehicle, but potentially license plates. Identifying and locating those parties that were present, interviewing them, and maybe even tracking their devices or communications potentially they could have had with her.
Video shows Mendez Olascoaga's vehicle pull into the gas station at 8:34 p.m. She parks at a gas pump before walking to the store. Once inside, Mendez Olascoaga can be seen in the back of the store, seemingly filling up a fountain drink. She then gets a lid and straw for the drink before walking back outside. Next, she heads to the passenger side of her car and can be seen filling it up with gas. By 8:44 p.m., just 10 minutes after she arrived, Mendez Olascoaga is back inside her car. She pulls away from the pump 1 minute later, and by 8:47 p.m., she's left the gas station altogether. Detective Looney says investigators with extensive training will be the ones to comb through this video.
Training is a huge factor, and it actually is very helpful with the experience also. We all look for different clues, of course, just as a journalist, you may see something that we may not see, and vice versa. So it's a collective effort. right? So what I noticed from the video were the parties that were there. I would also backtrack not just to the time that she entered, but earlier through that entire day, even during and after what was taking place. Was the clerk interviewed or parties in the store? Is there someone there that we did not potentially see? Maybe someone could have been in the restroom or an adjacent business close to or across from that location. So, potential other surveillance cameras, traffic cameras, and so forth. And again, systems involved with the investigation that the police may not readily disclose, but that's again for the integrity. So there could be some tracking capabilities as far as again devices, geo tracking of the tower information. Is there a Wi-Fi router at that convenience store where they could maybe tap into the IP addresses and MAC addresses that have pinged to the Wi-Fi router? So a lot of things to consider. Of course, there's always you have more than one set of eyes on the video to get different determinations or angles.
Since leaving the gas station, Mendez Olascoaga has not been seen or heard from. Her family found her abandoned vehicle the following day with her wallet inside.
The wallet being left, is that intentionally, or it doesn't appear to be a robbery, or maybe have been a robbery, but that could have been done intentionally. So it just depends on the reasons that can be identified. Also, was there any other DNA? Was the car fully processed? Again, that's another investigative element and process that takes place. That's not really disclosed, but that's just a part of the process itself.
Detective Looney says investigators may have recovered important information from the abandoned vehicle.
So there's several things to consider. Obviously, the condition of the vehicle. I believe there was a mention of a wallet that was found, and maybe some other items. Now, of course, everything's not disclosed readily because it's about the case integrity, of course. But the vehicle, other factors such as is there satellite-based tracking, GPS monitoring? Are there devices inside the vehicle? Tire tracks maybe to and from the vehicle or other vehicles potentially involved. What kind of location where the vehicle's found? Like I believe there's like a wooded area nearby, 5 miles from where she was last seen on video. So all those things factor in. Of course, potential DNA evidence, processing of the vehicle, and so forth. So everything factors in to what happened and how she could be tracked or found.
One of the last people to speak with Mendez Olascoaga was the friend she dropped off. So far, that friend's name has not been released publicly. But that same friend came forward to Mendez Olascoaga's family after she disappeared, reporting ominous texts they'd received. The messages allegedly read in part, quote, "You'll never find her, and you'll never see her again. And she's gone. Jennifer Mendez, and you're next."
It sounds like they're giving some kind of warning or also threats as well to that friend. So what potentially was going on? What's the reason for the threats and messages? And where did they come from also? So the source of those messages, be it cell phone, Wi-Fi, laptop, whatever device was used to transmit that, the tracking and tracing or identifying of those devices or IP addresses and all the forensic data will be very monumental and very significant to develop, maybe an identity of who's responsible, where they came from. Also, talking with a friend, the interview with a friend will be crucial because there's obviously some reason potentially for the text or maybe something else that could have happened, previous incidents, previous conflicts. What kind of conflict was taking place or what was going on in their lives to create this situation or the reason for this happening?
Texas officials confirmed Mendez Olascoaga is a teacher assistant in the Dallas Independent School District. Detective Looney says fellow teachers and even students could be interviewed about her disappearance.
What you should do in an investigation is look at the lifestyle, the place of work, family, friends, neighbors, relatives, of course, place last seen, but definitely the mobile home park and the school, because there could have been other incidents or prior incidents. Again, we're trying to determine what happened and why and who's responsible. So, of course, that would be part of the investigative process to interview students, colleagues, again, family, friends, to determine, are there other reports or were there other incidents that took place prior to this? What is the history like and timeline of her lifestyle and her friend's lifestyle that would maybe create the situation. So again, the interview with a friend is crucial. And where were they prior to being dropped off? Where they're coming from? Where were they potentially? Did they agree to meet someone, or was Jennifer going to meet someone after dropping that friend off? So a lot of things still under investigation, obviously.
With many question marks left in the case, Detective Looney says investigators likely know more than they're letting on.
There's always more evidence potentially that could be present. And when you're engaging the acquisition of forensics and the collection of data, some things are very time sensitive and time consuming as far as sending out search authority, search warrant subpoenas for tower records, for search warrants for video surveillance, also the collection and acquisition. It's an entire, again, team effort by all parties involved, but there's always more evidence that could potentially be discovered and or that has been revealed, even statements to allow for other examinations of multiple scenes. I understand there's several different locations that have been explored. Of course, the mobile home park and the gas station, I'm sure her residence, and if they've located all parties that were present there, their devices as well should be examined.
One reason officials may be keeping details close to the vest is that a possible suspect could be watching news coverage of the case.
Also, what we have to consider always, if she has been held or taken somewhere, those potential parties are also viewing the media and the content, so they want to have an update as to how close are we getting or what's going on with the investigation, as much as can be disclosed, at least.
Though weeks removed from Mendez Olascoaga's initial disappearance, Detective Looney still has hope for a positive ending to her case.
I'm always optimistic. I always look for, everything being relevant, and obviously with the investigative efforts, we don't know the full scope of what they've uncovered or what they have to still yet determine. So again, that interview with a friend is crucial. There could have been some other potential incidents or threats that were made prior to this that would lead to individuals responsible. And of course, Jennifer is first priority, first and foremost, always. So I'm optimistic that hopefully she'll be found. Maybe she'll talk about reasons or maybe what happened.
As for those threatening text messages Mendez Olascoaga's friend is said to have received, local TV stations report the messages have not stopped. As the investigation into her disappearance continues, investigators in Dallas ask anyone with more information to come forward to the police department. Reporting for Law&Crime Network, I'm Gillespie.